Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Business Over Brunch. My name is Kima, and I'm the podcast creator and host. I'm also the founder and senior publicist for Maddie Clay Branding and Public Relations and the agency director for the Redhead Media Creative Media Group. So, if you've been following us, you know that Beauty Over Brunch is one of our newest beauty podcasts, and every other week we'll be speaking with insiders and contributors across various industries of the beauty, health, and wellness and grooming industries. So be sure to meet me here every first and third Saturday for the tea or brunch on beauty. So today I am joined by Miss Nicole Patterson. She is the creator of Main Temptation Hair Care Line. So Nicole, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great.
Awesome. So, of course, it's brunch. So, I am going to be sipping on a little positive energy yogi tea. Have you had brunch today, or what's on your brunch menu?
I haven't had brunch today, but I do have some cranberry pineapple juice that I'm going to drink this morning with you.
All right. So, that looks really good. I thought you were going to have like a cocktail. I was going to say it is 5 o'clock somewhere.
I
But
don't drink, but somebody does. But I like juice. That's my favorite.
but that's a good one. Cranberry pineapple. That's absolutely one of my favorites. So thank you for again for being a part of the Business Over Brunch podcast. I'm super excited to speak with you today and learn more about Main Temptation. But first, tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do.
So I'm Nicole Patterson, as she said, the founder and owner of Main Temptation. What I do, I'm an athletic trainer, which is in the sports medicine industry. So I keep athletes, healthy and on the field, keep them doing what they love to do. And just working on different people's bodies throughout the day. What I do in my business in the background is formulate products that help with, hair health and the endocrine system. So I created them kind of after I had my own little health issue and found that it actually helped. So that's a little bit about what I do day to day. I, wake up, I do things for my business, run my business, and then I go to work via, athletic training at a high school.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you had a health issue, which started you with the Main Temptation. So when you started researching, what were some of the obstacles that you faced in regards to, knowing what products to use or whether or not you would have to go through any type of testing? What was that process like for you?
So the process wasn't very straightforward as far as like switching my hair care products. I actually was diagnosed and tested for Graves' disease. And then my godmom Jesus, I'm sorry. My godmom, sorry. I was
Okay.
tested for Graves and went through, all of that process. And then my godmom, who also suffers with a thyroid disorder, was telling me about different diets and things that you could do to help with your, your blood levels and things like that. And I was like, well, I don't want to change my diet. I want to eat what I want to eat. I'm going to do that. And so that just kind of got me thinking. And God began to give me the knowledge that I was already on the journey for, healthier hair and things like that. So could I combine healthy hair with, a healthy body? And so I began to do research on that, finding research articles from different scholars and scientists and chemists and things, finding links, to hair care products, the chemicals in them, and different diseases of the body. And so I was able to, just research different ingredients and what they would do and how they would help and create a product that stopped messing with my body.
Awesome. So when you were deciding like what products and you found what would help be a positive interaction with your hair, what you're taking. So the products that you started on, were they topical or things that you digested, or was it just simply applying it to your hair and your skin?
Yeah, so it was just straight topical products. So, at first it wasn't a whole like product line. I would just mix things in my hand to put in my, like when I was styling my hair. And then that became like the basis for different products that I made throughout Main Temptation. So I would just research, is this safe for endocrine, or, for example, how does shea butter affect the body? Does it have any health effects? And so, through research articles and Google and things, you can see ingredient causes cancer, if it's carcinogen, if it has negative effects on the endocrine disrupting chemical, if it causes asthma, if it's an allergen. And so I just begin to stay away from those things and only add the things that were safe.
Awesome. So how much did your background in sports medicine, I know you had to take a lot of science and biology classes. So was it easier for you to know what to look for versus someone like me who doesn't have that background or doesn't do well in science?
So it wasn't hard, I would say. And I would say that my background does help with that. So sports medicine and athletic training, you do take science classes, but it's more so research classes. So I learned how to research, what to search for, what keywords to look for in order to get the articles that I would need, So I was able to apply that knowledge, but also the idea, we learn a lot about the body and how it works in different injuries. So sometimes, hey, your hamstring may be hurting, but it may be because your back is weak or your core is weak. So looking at this may be the problem or, your complaint, but the actual problem could be somewhere else.
Awesome. So you mentioned like some of the things that you looked for in regards to, carcinogens, things that may cause cancer or may interact negatively or positively with your medicine or different things like that. So for someone who doesn't have that background, or even if we're just curious of trying to find out, what can we do for, healthier hair as well as healthy body, what would be some like keywords that you would recommend, or how should we begin to research some of those things?
So the very first step would be knowing what's in the product. So taking a product that you have, in your bathroom, I guess is where we keep them. Looking at, what's in this. If you don't know what it is, so like shea butter is safe, coconut oil is safe. Things like something with a sulfate in it, probably not safe. So looking at those and seeing what words are in there, and then you can just Google a keyword that you find, how does dextrosulfate, I don't think that's a thing, but how does that affect the body, or is it an endocrine disrupting chemical? So looking for those type of things would help. We also have a blog on Main Temptation that discusses different ingredient types to get away from. And if you comment under there and you're like, hey, do I have this? We'll answer that. We'll let you know. We'll look it up and get back to you. So those are some different ways you can do that.
Awesome. I was on a Clubhouse room maybe a couple of months ago, and there was a young lady on there who she has a product line and it's all vegetable based or plant based. And that was one of the things that she was saying, like she has a sweet potato souffle. And, I've been experimenting with like different oils because one of my goals is to get my hair to be waist length, but I also want to retain it. So I was like, I never thought of a sweet potato, but it has keratin in it. So, you really have to. And she was like, if you can ingest it, if you can eat it, then you could put it on your hair, put it on your skin. So it was really interesting to see like where she began with her research. So now you have me thinking like, okay, I really need to go back through my bottles and find out, okay, what is it that's in this product, and can I take it out and still, either create something or find an alternate product, maybe one of yours, that gives me the same result without having all those toxins in there. So that's a really good thing to look at. So when you started Main Temptation, like what was your main product and how did you grow the line? What were some of your inspirations as you began to add more products to your brand?
So when I started Main Temptation, my main thing that I sold was actually hair, because it was the easiest thing to sell like during college to make money. So I started with hair, and then going through that natural hair journey or healthy hair journey, trying to, fix my damaged hair, my heat damaged hair. I was using products and doing different twist outs and things, and people would be like, what do you use? So I started selling my moisturizer that I use. But mind you, I was mixing it in my hand, so it wasn't very consistent back then. I would just, so whatever I would use like for my own hair, then I would just start, cooking it on the stove, like mixing it down and making it into little old recycled bottles and stuff that I had from old products. So I'd wash them out and put that in there. So that was kind of the start, just starting with a moisturizer and a cleanser, or I called it a shampoo then, but now I call it a cleanser because there is different properties between it and a normal shampoo. So those are the two things that started it, along with the hair extension line.
Awesome. So what do you have now? What can we look forward to when we go onto your website?
So now you'll see a full range of hair extensions, as well as you'll see a moisturizer, a cleanser, the gel, and we added an oil. So that's kind of the most popular thing right now is the oil. Everyone's loving that and getting to know that. So that's pretty awesome. We also have a vegan line coming, so you can look forward to that. That'll be released sometime this year, but we're not sure when. I want it to be completely perfect before I release that.
Definitely understandable. So, with you saying, you want it to be completely perfect, as you continue to develop your line, what are some obstacles that you've run into, or maybe you started something and didn't like it and had to start over? Like, what is that process like for you when you're going through process of elimination or product development?
So some of the key things, what I look for in like perfection in product development, because these are all natural products and they don't have the endocrine disrupting chemicals or, the different things that can affect your body, that rules out a lot of preservatives, a lot of stabilizers, a lot of things that make store-bought products, one consistency, one, very, very, very consistent.
Right.
So with natural products, it's pretty normal for, the consistency to change. If you leave it in the heat, it's going to melt. If it gets cold, it's gonna get a little harder. So those are the kind of things that I look for. I really try to keep it very consistent, but also educate people on the fact that, hey, this could happen. This is how you fix it. So that, as well as I feel like because those stabilizers aren't in there, the mixing time and getting like the right time for how long I mix it is very important, because each batch can be a little different depending on those things. Also the weather. If it's cold outside when I'm making it, it's normally a little cold, little firmer. If it's warm outside, it's a little looser. So those are the things that I'm trying to learn how to kind of get around without using chemicals.
So definitely want to stay true to the product. So speaking of like the consistency, do you find that, or have you found that the shelf life for products, natural products, is a little bit shorter than other like store-bought items with the different toxins in it, or is it about the same because you've done your research and you know what you can have that gives that same result?
Yes, you're gonna make me give out my secrets, but
Don't kill me. I don't want any trade secrets.
No, it's okay. People need to know this, but they do. They can spoil. And that also goes between, like if you're putting it between heat and cold a lot, that can change the shelf life. But I found that typically I try to use less water in them so that it doesn't spoil as good. But also the pH of the product matters a lot. And so I'm able to get, to remove a lot of that. Well, it'll be gone, before I'm able to use it, or it'll be bad by changing the pH. So our hair actually has a acidic pH, and so anything we put on it should be acidic as well, or else it won't absorb. It'll repel it. So things that are acidic typically don't spoil. So by pH balancing my products, I'm able to limit the amount of bacteria and things that are able to live in it.
Awesome. So you've done a lot of good research. I'm glad that we were able to sit down and talk today so people can have a clear understanding of what, goes into people like yourself who make the product, or even if they are like myself who's trying to experiment, and what we need to do to make sure the product is there. So did you have to go through like any FDA, I'm not sure if that's the right alphabet, but any type of testing or approval before you began to sell the product?
No, so that is the thing with the hair care and personal care industry. None of those products are actually regulated by the FDA, which is why they're allowed to have a lot of these chemicals and things in there without any, I don't know the word, but I'm trying to, without any oversight or, regulation or restrictions. So no, I didn't have to do any of that, but I do test it myself. I do pH test everything. I do a little bacteria test, a little swab test on every product too, just to see how long it'll last. I also keep my own product too, so I can see real time. So like maybe it says on this, the little sample that, hey, it'll expire by here, but I'm using it as well, so I can see if it did it before or after, just because, real usage versus like leaving it on a shelf somewhere is a little different.
Right.
So I'm able to test it that way as well. I do and I am seeking, funding and things like that to do more research and get like better testing, because I think that that's something that's super important in the hair care industry, making sure that we're staying true to, keeping hair healthy and making sure that everything that we're doing is what's best for the consumer.
Awesome. Well, I hope everything goes well with that. You've done a lot in regards to researching and knowing your product. And I like your story of the reason why you created it and then how you started. Like most people in college, you know, I wasn't thinking about starting a hair care line then, but you have to get creative and like you said, use old recycled bottles or whatever you need to do when people are asking for those products. So now that you have matured the line and you have your website and everything and your products and your product line, for someone who may be looking to start a line, like what would you say they would need to do to be financially ready? Like what would be like a ballpark estimate of what you would recommend someone needs to have in order to have like their packaging, their labeling, products, different things like that?
So it's funny you asked that. I would not recommend anyone start the way that I started, because it was very hard, and now I'm going back and fixing, the problems. But everything can't be perfect when you start. So I get that. So if you do have to use what you have and start from there. Get friends and family, to do it. You don't really need a lot to start it. But what I would say, looking back now, is a business plan is super important. It's something that I feel like I neglected at first. And had I had it and had the wisdom that I have now, I would have started with that, because there's so much funding that you can get where you don't even need money to start a business. If you have a business plan and you can show this is how it works, this is who wants it, this is why it's going to work, they'll pay for you.
Awesome.
You don't even need the money. They'll be like, here you go. That's a great business plan. So just having, doing the research on what you want to sell, why you want to sell it, the market audience, and then having researching what it's going to cost for the packaging that you want. I created mine completely custom. I designed the boxes that I sell, and I had someone make them. So if that's something you want to do, creating it, getting a quote on it, and adding it in the business plan and having someone else pay for it, I think would be that's what I would say to do looking back now, because I've spent a lot of money, but it's not necessary.
And that's a good point in regards to grants and startups, especially for us as women. And then for those of us watching that are, African-American women or women of color, there's a lot of grants out there now for that. And a lot of them do have startups where I think historically grants, you had to have like a certain revenue requirement, but now, it's getting a lot broader. We have the SBA that's been out, and then there's so many different grants for women. And then there's so many grants targeted specifically to the fashion and beauty industry. So it's so many things out there that are available. So I'm very glad that you mentioned that point in regards to not feeling like you have to bootstrap or, go to your friends and family or take out loans for money, where you could actually get, money and just keep track of your records so that you can be accountable for what you say you're going to spend for. So that's awesome. That's awesome advice. Of course, we all learn when we do things, one way, and then we go through the years in business and we evolve and we're like, why didn't I know that before? Or why didn't I think of that before?
Yeah.
So, great. So when you are thinking about how you're moving your business forward, we're all beauty enthusiasts. We love shopping. We love trying new products. What has your experience as a customer or consumer, how has that shaped you as an entrepreneur?
So my experience as a consumer shaping me as an entrepreneur. That's a great question. So excuse me. I think knowing, especially when I'm shopping, I want to know, is something going to be worth my time? Is it going to be, how is it going to affect me? Obviously, that's something that was a big deal to me in college. Also, looking at, when I was looking for products, I couldn't find anything that was for natural hair that didn't dry my hair out. I felt like everything that I used, like by the end of the day, I'd be like, why is my hair so dry? I had to add so much of it, to make it work. So those are the type of things that I look for or look at when I'm creating a product. Is it going to add moisture? Is the value there? These products are moisture packed. I literally only have to use like a pump per section on my hair.
Wow.
So it's something that's, like it may cost a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you're saving because you don't have to use it the way that you have to use all the other products, So I think looking at, how much is it worth? How much is it helping? And those are the things that kind of shaped me as an entrepreneur, looking at solving those problems.
That's very good. I think that we all need to look at, not just how it impacts me, but how many other people are having that same thought process. Because I feel because my hair is thick, I feel like when I go to condition my hair, like I run out of conditioner before I run out of shampoo. So, because I use so much. So if I can find something that's just like only one or two pumps and still gives me that good result, I'm definitely going to spend a little bit more because I know it will last a lot longer. So I definitely get that. That's an awesome point. Um, so let's talk quickly about how business has been impacted during the pandemic. So there's a thing, and we talk about this. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, called the lipstick effect, that says that during times like this, people spend more money on luxury items or self-care items. And for us, hair care and skincare is not necessarily a necessity anymore. It's a luxury because a lot of people have had to transition from going to get their hair done to doing it themselves. So how do you feel your business has been impacted either positively or negatively during this time? Or have you used this time to be more innovative with how you build out your products going forward?
Yes. So I would say that this time, or COVID, honestly, it was good for my business. It is when I decided, let me take this not full time, but more seriously. So before, it was more like a hobby. Like if most of it was word of mouth, people were like, hey, I've used this product. And then like they'll send somebody to me. And that's when I was making products. But when COVID happened, I kind of was like, you made this for a reason. People want to be healthy. They want to know, they want the resources, but they don't have, they don't know about these things. So it was kind of like, you need to take this more seriously. You need to put effort into it. So that's when I began to, put more effort into the business, effort into the education, putting out, that blog post and all those things. So I think that really helped me elevate my business mindset and, knowing that this is to help people, not just to make a little extra money or, like see it as like it's something else that I have to do. Like, no, it's something that you love to do. So do it, So it kind of made me take it seriously. More people were buying. And then I decided that since more people were buying, that I needed to take a step back so that I can make sure that everything is formulated the way it needs to be. Everything is put together the way it needs to be as far as, business aspects and getting all the structure and stuff together. So it's been a little give or take, so when I market more, I get more sales, but I try not to market as much so that I can make sure that everything is A1 for every customer, that they're getting that quality.
Absolutely. So, I feel you on sitting back and, looking at the backside and making sure everything is in order before you start pushing things out so you can be ready. One thing you mentioned was formulation. Did you go through, once you started, really moving the business with the website and packaging and branding and everything, do you still formulate your own products, or have you gone through like a chemist or a manufacturer for anything?
No, so I do have a chemist that is a mentor. But she just helps me to get everything kind of like stabilized in like quantities. So like if I find that something is a little too runny or like inconsistent, then I'm like, okay, what am I doing wrong? But as far as like creating the formulations, I don't outsource that. That's something that I do myself to make sure that everything is staying true to the brand's mission. So I wanted to outsource it, but every time I looked, they were trying to add, like all of these companies require you to add a preservative or some type of thing. And they try to say that there are natural ones, but when you start looking at it, they're not really natural. So it's like, no, I don't want to add that. So in order to keep it, the integrity that I want my brand to have, it'll be in-house. Hopefully we're able to hire, chemists and formulators eventually. That way I don't have to do everything. But yeah, right now I'm doing it all.
That's an interesting point. I didn't know that. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense because of the science behind it. But I didn't know that even if you had an organic brand or a natural brand, that if a chemist does it, that they're going to add a preservative to the product. So that's something that's really good to know. So definitely anybody out there, make sure that you pay attention to that when you go to look at building your team and who you need to add and what you need to do to make sure, like Nicole said, that you're staying true to the product and protecting the integrity of what you're putting out there. So I have learned so much in this short amount
Yeah,
of time, and I feel like the conversation could keep going because I have so many questions that are going through my mind at this point. But I'm sure at
we'll
some
have to
point,
get together.
I know at some point I'll be touching on a trade secret. And like I said, I don't want you to kill me, so keep your secrets to yourself. So tell us how we can stay connected with you. We have your website up. How else can people go and look for Main Temptation?
So to find Main Temptation, all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram. We also have a YouTube now. It's Main Temptation. So MANE, not MAIN. So that's how you're gonna find us. If you want to follow my journey, I'm gonna be posting more about my Graves journey in sports medicine and health things. You can follow me on Instagram at lovenikip_NIKKIP _love. Um, and so I'll just be going into, just my different numbers and things like that. I'm actually in remission now just from changing my hair care products. That's
Awesome.
literally the only thing that I've changed in my life. So that's how you can find us, maintemptation.com, at Instagram at Main Temptation, Facebook Main Temptation, and we have a YouTube.
Awesome. I think that is so inspiring. And I know a couple of people who have Graves' disease. So I definitely want to make sure that that they are watching this, and if they have any questions, or definitely push that brand out there, because I know a lot of people who have gone through that. And if they just think about maybe the hair care, not necessarily what they eat, that could make a big difference. So I'm so glad that, that one change allowed you to have, a better quality of life. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but definitely some relief in some of that illness that you were feeling. So awesome. So Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, this conversation has been amazing. I've learned so much, so many things to consider. I want to think about if I want to move forward with the hair care business. But, we live and we learn, and this is all about making sure that we're sharing information with people who need it. So again, everyone, thank you so much. My name is Kima, and thank you for joining us for brunch today. Until the next time, be blessed and enjoy whatever is on the brunch menu. Have a great day, everyone.